comment, rate, subscribe, merch in the description. Check out our Facebook pages. We got marketplaces you can buy and sell stuff on.
This is my Sin Shinron mill control deck. 1 copy of the leader. 4 Sin Shinron negative energy explosion. 4 Sin Shinron power of darkness. 4 Hei Shinron negative energy explosion. 4 Naturon Shinron negative energy explosion. 4 Oceanus negative energy explosion. 4 Gotenks fusion renewed. 4 Fuses Universe 7 united. 4 Gowasu manipulate supremacy. 4 Ultimate Dark Dragon Slaying Bullet. 4 Instant Transmission 10 times Kamehameha. 4 Janemba Wicked Agent of Destruction. 4 Pan and Giru Energy Fortification. 4 Toa Resonance of Shadow. And 1 Sin Shinron Corrupted by the Darkness. As you can see, this is a blue-black build. And you know, we have some mill effects in here, obviously, and we're definitely trying to take advantage of the milling abilities and being able to mill from time to time. So taking advantage of that, and you know, obviously combine it with Gowasu, so that way we have more control of opponents' draws. And also, obviously, this is another control style build. You're trying to control what your opponent is drawing, so that way you're controlling their hand. Of course, we have Janemba, which has the ability to gain crit, so you can take advantage of that as well to make sure your opponent's not gaining anything, but you know, you get the idea. We're ultimately trying to just make it hard for our opponent to get anything good in their hand. Like negates, for example, we're definitely trying to reduce them getting negates. So that's one of the strategies you want to do with this deck, is you want to mill your opponent's negates, right? Their extra cards. More so than the battle cards. You can deal with the battle cards here and there, obviously, but it's more about dealing, getting rid of their extra cards, because that's where their, most of their negates come from. If they have battle cards that negates or blockers, you want to get rid of those as well. You're trying to reduce your opponent's defensive capabilities, is what I'm saying. That way, when you do get the chance to play Toa Resonance of Shadow for her -7 ability, you can play multiple Shadow Dragons and swing, go for game that way. So that's a win con in the deck, and you want to be able to set it up for that. Of course, decking your opponent out is another win con. Dropping this big 8 drop as a 40k double strike dual attacker as a win con. So there's that. So the leader has blocker. First time we have a well, second time actually, because if I'm right, there's a hand that also has blocker. But I had this idea before of a leader with blocker, but I wanted it to be, what's his name, Krillin. So I had the idea of Krillin, a Krillin leader having blocker. A lot of people thought it was a bad idea. Some people thought it was creative, a good idea. Not to use him, but as you can see, yes, a leader can have the blocker skills. So I was not wrong with that idea. All right. First auto, when you activate a Shadow Dragon extra card from your hand, you and your opponent place the top card of your deck into the drop area. And the only Shadow Dragon extra card we have is Ultimate Dark Dragon Slaying Bullet. Second auto, choose 1 black Shadow Dragon card in your hand and discard it. When this card attacks, draw 1 card, then switch this card to active mode at the end of the turn. So of course, all your battle cards are Shadow Dragons, so just by discarding a Shadow Dragon battle card, you'll trigger that effect. But also your extra card also counts as a Shadow Dragon, so it will also. So if you discard it, you also trigger this effect. So it's nice that you have the ability to draw a card and then switch this card to active mode. But it's at the end of turn, so that's the whole point. Because he has a blocker, so you want to be able to attack with him and then be able to try to use him to block, preferably to protect any of your battle cards you don't want your opponent to attack. But the irony that most of your cards in this deck are blockers anyway, so they're more trying to protect your leader than your leader trying to protect your blockers, right? That type of irony. And then we have the Awaken when your life is at 4 or less, or you have 7 or more black Shadow Dragon cards in your drop area. You may draw a card and switch one of your energies to active mode. He still has the blocker skill on the Awaken side. First auto, when you activate a Shadow Dragon extra card, only your opponent places the top card of their deck to the drop. So of course, that's a scenario you definitely want to be in, or only your opponent's milling. Second auto, when this card attacks, draw 1 card. Then this card gets 5k power for the turn. At the end of your turn, switch this card to active mode, obviously, so you can take advantage of this blocking skill. Active main / active battle ability. Once per turn, Spirit Boost. Choose one of your Shadow Dragon's extra cards in your hand and activate its active main / battle skill without paying its energy cost. So you can use this to remove a marker from one of your unisons, just so you can play your Ultimate Dark Dragon's Slaying Bullet for free. Which is nice, considering the fact that this card's effective. Your opponent chooses one of their battle cards with an energy cost less than the number of cards in their drop area and sends it to the owner's warp. So hopefully it's whatever they're attacking with, right? Especially if they only have 1 battle card, it makes it even better. Then of course the fact that you can play for free is always nice. And that's that. Alright, so Sin Shenron Negative Energy Explosion has Deflect, Barrier, and it has Double Strike and Blocker, so has a lot of good stats. It's a 4-drop, 20k, auto. If your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, when this card is played from your hand or discarded by a Shadow Dragon card's skill, you may look at the top card of your deck. If it's a black Shadow Dragon card, you may add it to your hand, otherwise place it at the bottom of your deck. Active main / battle ability. Once per turn, Spirit Boost 1, so remove a marker from a unison. Switch this card to active mode and your opponent places the top card of their deck into the drop area. Choose up to 1 Shadow Dragon extra card in your hand and activate its active main battle skill without paying its energy cost. So this is another way you could play your Ultimate Dark Dragon Slaying Bullet for free. So that's nice. So the leader has the ability to do it. This 4-drop has the ability to do it, to let you play your bullet for free. So yeah, I like that. And then we have Sin Shenron Power of Darkness, Double Strike, 20k. It's a 3-drop. Auto limit 1, so you can only play this ability once a turn. If your leader card is Black Shadow Dragon card, when you remove a marker from one of your unison cards using a Spirit Boost skill, play this card from your hand, which is nice, right? And your opponent places the top card of the deck into the drop area. So definitely going to take advantage of that. So obviously you could trigger this from the effect of the 4-drop, but you could also trigger it from the leader. Second auto, if your leader card is Shadow Dragon card, when this card is played from your hand or discarded by a Shadow Dragon card skill, you may look at the top card of your deck. If it's a black Shadow Dragon card, add it to your hand, otherwise place it at the bottom of your deck. So as you can see, these cards have the ability to replace themselves. Critical blocker, 15k 3-drop, Haze Shenron. Auto, if your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, when this card is played from your hand or discarded, you get it. Look at the top card, add a Shadow Dragon, or put it at the bottom of your deck. Second auto, when this card attacks, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, send it to the owner's warp, then switch this card to active mode at the end of the turn, because it is a blocker, so you're going to take advantage of that. So you could obviously use this to swing, right? Remove a blocker out your way, so you can try to get your crit attack to go through, and at the end of the turn, switch it back to active mode so you can block with it. So it's all about keeping up that defense. So So you both have crit and block, so definitely goes with the theme of the deck of making sure your opponent doesn't have any good cards in hands. Now Toron, Shenron, deflect blocker 20k, just 20k blocker, pre-drop. Same, you discard this or play this card from your hand. You can look at the top card of your deck. If it's a Shadow Dragon, add to your hand, otherwise put it at the bottom of your deck. Auto, when this card is played from your hand, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 5 or less in their battle area or drop area and place it under this card. Choose up to one of the chosen cards keyword skills, and this card gains the skill until the end of your opponent's next turn, which is a really awesome effect. Wish more of these cards had that ability. So this is a really good ability because not only from the battle from the battle area, but also from the drop you can grab something, so you can always have access to something really cool. You know, they have the really cool keyword skill, you know, like revenge or something, or you know, triple strike or quadruple strike or something like that, right? Or barrier, you know, that way he could be barrier blocker, which is nice. Yeah, you get the idea. Then we have Oceanus Shenron, which is a blocker with counterattack. Choose one card from your hand and discard it, negate the attack, then play this card. If you played a card, your opponent can't attack for the turn unless they place the top 4 cards of their deck into the drop area, further helping with the mill strategy of the deck. During your opponent's turn, reduce the cost of this card by 3, so it's a 2-drop on your opponent's turn. And auto, if your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, which it is, when you play this card from your hand or discarded by a Shadow Dragon effect, you can look at the top card of your deck. If it's a Shadow Dragon, add it to your hand, otherwise put it at the bottom of your deck, right? Then we have Gotenks Fusion Renewed. His blocker, he's also counterattack. Send 3 cards from your drop area to your warp, negate the attack, and play this card. You definitely want to since we do have instant transmission 10-sided Kamehameha, it's not a problem to warp any of your Shenrons. Typically you don't want to warp any of your Shadow Dragons, but it's not a problem, at least in this build, to do so, because you can always put them back in the drop through your negate. And then this has the permanent, if you have a battle card, that doesn't matter because we don't use 6 in this one. Auto, when this card attacks, place up to 3 black battle cards from your warp into the drop area, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 3 or less and send it into warp, which is nice to have. And of course, this, as well as the instant transmission 10-sided Kamehameha, allows you to put stuff that you warp back into the drop, so you don't have to worry about warping your Shadow Dragons because you can always get them back. Frieza's Universe 7 United, barrier blocker, so that we can have a reliable blocker with barrier, especially if we want to avoid our leader from constantly getting attacked. You know, having something like this reusable is useful. Plus, with the fact that we can end up milling ourselves, definitely want to have multiple copies of these in the drop. And with enough energy, you can obviously play multiple copies of these from your drop. So if you could afford 6, 2 blue and 4 of anything, you could bring it back. You know, bring it back from the drop. It's a 20k body, so it's a 20k barrier blocker. Go also manipulate Supremacy, active main. Once per turn, look at up to 3 cards on top of your opponent's deck and place them back in any order. So this will help you manipulate your opponent's draw. So it makes it hard for your opponent to draw anything good. And then you're going to be milling anything that is good. So that way you're guaranteeing the opponent A is not getting anything good and B are only getting bad cards. You're definitely trying to get rid of their negates, their defense, as it were. Get rid of their defense, so that way they're defenseless, and makes it easier to beat them, right? If you have multiple copies of this card in play, obviously you can use the once per turn effect of each copy, and if you combine it with your mill effects, you can, drastically reduce your opponent's chances of getting anything good. Then we have Ultimate Dragon. Dark Dragon Slaying Bullet. It's a counterplay. If your opponent is playing a unison card, they may either remove a marker from it for every 2 cards in their drop area and warp, or place it into the owner's drop area instead of playing it. So this is a unison counter, so you can counter unison with this, which is nice to have, right? And then if they don't, your opponent can only attack one more time for the turn. So this is awesome. If they immediately play unison, then you just play this. And if they don't send the unison to drop and they want to keep the unison, then they can only attack once that turn, which is really nice to have. And of course, the permanent, this counts as a Shadow Dragon card in all areas. And active main / battle ability, limit 1, so you can only play the card once a turn. Even if you could play it for free, you can only play it once for free, right? Your opponent chooses one of their battle cards with energy cost less than the number of cards in their drop area and sends it to its owner's warp. So of course, we want to take advantage of milling our opponents so we can try to get the most out of this card's abilities. Instant transmission 10 times Kamehameha. Counter attack, negate the attack, then place up to 2 black battle cards from your warp into your drop area. And then active main, pay 1 black energy, choose 2 cards in your hand, and then send them to the warp in order to add this card from your drop back to hand, so it's a reusable negate. So if you end up milling it, it's okay, because you can always get it back. So it's always nice to have reusable defense. So we have reusable blocker and we have a reusable negate. Janemba Wicked of Age Instruction has the +0 ability. Active main, you and your opponent draw a card, and then your opponent mills the top card of the deck. So you'll be taking 2 cards out your opponent's deck every turn with this effect. So it helps you get closer to milling your opponent out. Now obviously combining this with the effect of Wawasu helps you control your opponent's draws, as well as combining this with the mill effect of the leader. If you play your Slaying Bullet, as well as if you trigger your 4-drop Shinron effect to mill your opponent, or you mill your opponent through the effect of Shinron Power of Darkness, so you get the idea. And then he has the +1 ability to gain critical, so you can take advantage of that, along with Haze Shinron also having crit, so you can take advantage of your opponent not benefiting from you dealing them damage. And then he has a -2 ability, active main / battle. If your opponent has 15 or less cards in their deck, this card gains 15k power and triple strike for the turn. So it becomes a 30k triple strike. You can use it as a finisher. Panengiru Energy Fortification. This just adds more blue to the deck, and we're really only using it for its -2 ability, plus the fact that it's a blue card. So we can charge it for energy. -2 ability, during your opponent's next turn, they can only attack 1 time with battle cards with energy cost greater than their energy. This is good against stuff like Dark Broly or any deck similar to that, or any deck that likes to overwhelm or cheat out some high cost battle cards. And you could just play this and make it harder for them to attack with a whole bunch of high cost battle cards, that cost more than their energy. And of course you'll play this for 1 blue energy and 1 black energy. To charge, just to play this so that way it has 2 markers on it and then trigger it off. Of course you could play it for 1 blue energy, and then attach a second copy of Panengiru to give it a marker and then do the -2. So you get that idea. It's just there for extra defense, just to buy you an extra turn, which is always important. You can always win by getting an extra turn, right? Toa, Resonance of Shadow. We only use this card for its -7 active main ability. Since your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card, choose up to 7 black Shadow Dragon cards with different character names in your hand and or drop area and play them. Mainly, obviously, we're focusing of using this effect from our drop. So obviously, you can play this as soon as turn 6. Right. For example, if you have 2 copies, you pay 6, play this, attach a second copy to it to give it a marker, so it has 7 markers, and then -7 and play up to 7 Shadow Dragons, and then try to, you know, obviously go for game with that. Then we have Sin Shinron, Corrupted by the Darkness. It's an ultimate 40k blocker. Has the permanent where it's treated as black in all areas. So it is a black Shadow Dragon. You know, you notice it is yellow, but it's also a black Shadow Dragon. So you will be able to bring this back from the drop with the effect of Toa, Resonance of Shadow. So that's something to keep in mind. And then it has the permanent that if this would be removed from the battle area, remove it from the game instead. Auto pay 1 at the end of the battle in which this card is used in a combo from your hand. Play this card from your drop area, and if you do, choose any number of your opponent's leader cards, battle cards, and unison cards equal to or less than their current energy, and then ignoring barriers, switch them to rest mode. So of course you can use this defensively, you know, combo it for 1 energy, and then after the battle is over, pay 1 energy to trigger the auto, so that we can rest the rest of your opponent's leader, battle cards, and unisons. So that way you have less attacks to worry about, right? And then on your turn, you can use this active main ability, pay 4 of any color. This card gains double strike and dual attack for the turn, so it'll be a 20k double strike. They can attack twice, so you can potentially do 4 damage with this card by itself, or just 2 damage if the first attack gets negated, right? And that's the end of the video.